It is crazy that Marvel can put out 18 movies within 10 years and we can still be impressed by something that they release. Welcome to Film Table. My name's CJ. I'll be your host. Go ahead, pull up a chair. We were first introduced to Black Panther and T'Challa back in Captain America: Civil War. And he was good in that because he was kick-ass, but we never really saw into his character. He was hardened and on a revenge path. And because there are so many other characters within that movie, we never really got to know him outside of action sequences. In Black Panther, his first solo movie, we finally get that. We break down that hardened exterior as a superhero and we actually see T'Challa for who he is. Shortly after the events of Civil War, T'Challa returns to his homeland of Wakanda to become its new leader. And he needs to somehow find the balance of leading a nation and being Black Panther. Now this movie does a lot of things right. And that's why you've seen so much praise for it. First off, our two leading actors, Chadwick Boseman and Michael B. Jordan, are fantastic in this movie. And it's not just that their characters are great, but the actors do a great job at showing that there's more to them than just their counterparts of Black Panther and Killmonger. That they actually have thoughts and ideas and motivations behind everything that they do. And that's part of what made Michael B. Jordan such an incredible villain. Probably one of the best villains to ever be in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And it's because you're watching and he's killing innocent people, which you completely disagree with, obviously. But he makes points throughout the movie and you can't help but just sit back and think that he is right in a lot of ways. He's still a villain and you're gonna disagree with him and root for T'Challa, but it creates that great divide that makes a fantastic villain. Someone that has real motivations that are actually on our level and something that we can understand, but just going about it the wrong way. And what else is interesting about the villain is that while the audience will see his side and his point of view, our heroes do as well. And throughout the movie, they are conflicted over what they should do because they know how their ancestors and how their family has dealt with these issues in the past, and that's how they were raised. But when an outsider comes in and tells them this is wrong, they can understand that too. That's really what a lot of this movie is. T'Challa is dealing with the mistakes of his family and his nation, and he wants to be a good king and he wants to be a good man at the same time, which is something his dad tells him at some point, that it's hard to be a good man and a king. But T'Challa wants to break those chains and he wants to be a good man and a good king at the same time. And finding that balance is really where we get that character growth from him. That also means that this movie plays into a lot of politics, which can sometimes be handled really well and sometimes be handled really bad. For example, Star Wars: The Phantom Menace went about it in all of the wrong ways. But Black Panther goes about it in all of the right ways. And that's because we're not sitting in council meetings, but we see how these politics are handled within a different culture, which can sometimes feel a little too traditional and needs to be updated. In fact, if it was updated, this entire movie wouldn't have even happened, but we're still given a look into an interesting aspect of it. Now, while Boseman and Jordan are great as our leading stars, the entire cast is really incredible, as well as the direction by Ryan Coogler. This is now his third movie that he's both written and directed, and at such a young age, he is proving to be on the right track. He knows what he's doing, and I cannot wait to see more from this guy. Because while this is a movie that is ingrained into the MCU, and in a lot of ways you can see how the events within this movie will affect future installments to the Marvel franchise, the nice part about Black Panther is that it is a great standalone movie. It might be nice to see Civil War, to see the introduction of Black Panther, but you essentially don't even need to see that. You could go into Black Panther knowing almost nothing about the MCU and still enjoy it as just a film itself. And that's because while it is a superhero movie and we do have a lot of good action sequences, it is really about the characters and who they are and how they deal with the decisions that are made within their bubble of a nation that is hidden from the world. The outside world sees Wakanda as a nation built by farmers, but in reality they are hidden by all of these technological advances. And it can be something that is really interesting in this movie because while they do have all of these advances in technology, they do still have the culture of their ancestors. And seeing those two ideals morph together within their city is an interesting outlook, because it is so hard to create a movie that has a completely new world to us. So we have to learn that as well as learning the characters and the story and come out of the movie extremely satisfied. That is hard to do, and Black Panther does a really good job at it. After seeing the movie, you will think that you know this world pretty well, and you also know the characters, and it also had a good story. And Coogler does a really good job at this. And we also have some great shots in this movie, some of the best landscape scenes that you will see within a Marvel movie. Some of them are real, shot on real location, and then some of them are CGI, but the detail that they put into it, you can't really tell. But with that said, there are some CGI moments that don't look as good. There is this one scene when T'Challa looks at the side of a cliff and he sees people dancing, and it looks really bad. I remember seeing that in the trailer and thinking that it just wasn't finished yet and that they were going to finish it for the movie. But even in the movie, it didn't look real. And that's not the only shot like that. There are a few within the movie. It might seem that that's nitpicking, but I do want to point out that a lot of people are talking about how perfect this movie is, to the point that it seems like a crime to say that there's anything wrong. And even a small thing like that, when you're just kind of pulled away from the movie for a second because it doesn't look real, it is an issue. One other thing that sometimes I had trouble getting on board with was the technological advances that Wakanda came across. Sometimes the technology can just come off as magic because it's just so advanced to a point where it's hard for me to actually believe that you just keep calling it technology because it doesn't seem like technology. It seems like magic. Because at points it seems like technology is really just used to make things convenient in the movie. To make it easier to explain how something will work without more of an inconvenience. And one last thing. It seemed to be that one person was running all of the technology within this nation. And not only that, but she was also working as the doctor. Now I get that the technology is what allowed her to be the doctor, so if she's in charge of the technology, then essentially she would be the doctor. But how is she really the only one? I mean, she seems to be the youngest main character within the movie. How is she the one that has all of this knowledge? Don't you think there should be a group of people running these things? I mean, I would assume so. Even if there are just some people in the background, that would make more sense than one person running it. But with all of that aside, Black Panther is extremely entertaining. I've heard a lot of people say that they feel like there's not enough action in it, but I think the amount of action was absolutely perfect because it wasn't really about being a superhero. Yes, they went away to have some of those things included because it is a Marvel movie, they need that. But in the end, I felt like they had a perfect amount of drama and action kind of intertwined into each other. So yeah, I mean, simple enough, I loved Black Panther, and I'm easily gonna give it a 4 out of 5. I thought it was extremely enjoyable. It's something I look forward to watching again, and something that I hope Marvel can keep doing. Even when they get to 25 and 30 movies, I hope that they feel different from the others in a way that allows it to be fresh and something that you can look forward to and not think, oh, another Marvel movie. Thank you so much for stopping by and checking out the review. If you like what you saw, make sure you check out filmtable.com where we have a bunch of other awesome content. Also, make sure to follow us on social media at Filmtable. That way you can keep up to date with everything that we're doing, all of our thoughts and everything that we're releasing. And I'll see you next time.